Sobrang di ko pa mapaniwala. Maraming salamat sa suporta. Sana patuloy yung suporta niyo sa
Said it many times. Nobody in this world, Russian athletes or Belarusian athletes, support the war. Nobody. How can we support the war? Nobody.
What is going through your minds right now?
I'm so blank. I just wanna...
Explosive. When the Queen spoke, the entire tennis world had to listen. Sabalenka's bombshell defense, the fan war dividing Asia, and the Prodigy who might be losing her magic had all pushed the sport to a breaking point. The silence in that press conference room was deafening. You could have heard a tennis ball drop. For days, maybe even weeks, the tennis universe had been walking on eggshells, tiptoeing around the elephant in the room, whispering in corners but never saying out loud what everyone was thinking. The tension built like a pressure cooker ready to explode, fueled by a toxic cocktail of social media warfare, locker room politics, questionable officiating, and an uncomfortable silence that suggested those in power were hoping it would all just go away. Then Aryna Sabalenka, the reigning world #1, the woman who hits tennis balls harder than most of us, hit our alarms on Monday mornings, stepped up to the microphone and changed everything. She didn't dodge the question or hide behind a carefully crafted, personality-free response. She looked straight into the chaos and chose her words. Just 4 of them, delivered with the force of one of her signature serves. She's not wrong, and that single moment, the narrative didn't just shift, it shattered. The establishment's carefully constructed wall of denial cracked wide open, and suddenly everyone had permission to say what they'd been thinking all along. What began as one young player's frustration with a system designed to keep her in her place has transformed into something far more dangerous for tennis authorities: a full-blown revolution. This is player solidarity at its rarest and most powerful, when the queen of the court publicly backs the rising princess of the Philippines, when the woman at the very top risks her relationships with tournament directors and officials to defend someone still fighting for a spot in the top 50, something fundamental has changed. Fans noticed immediately, social media went nuclear, officials were forced into deeply uncomfortable conversations, and players across the tour began quietly reassessing where the real power lies when the sport's biggest voices choose to protect the underdogs. Welcome to the new era of the WTA, where silence is no longer the safe play, where old rules no longer apply, and where a single comment can ignite a firestorm across continents. This is no longer about a disputed line call or a questionable overrule. It's about respect, fairness, and who gets a voice in this sport versus who's told to shut up and be grateful. Today, we're going deeper than anyone else dares into the scandal shaking the foundations of women's tennis, the rivalry turning into an all-out fan war between 2 Asian superpowers, and the young Prodigy whose sudden crisis has everyone asking whether the pressure finally became too much. This is the story everyone's talking about, but nobody fully understands why Sabalenka's 4 words may have rewritten the sport's power structure, why the next match between certain players might require security worthy of a heavyweight boxing bout, and why one of tennis's brightest young stars could be facing the biggest crisis of her career. This is Court Eva Tennis. Buckle up, because this ride is just getting started. The controversy surrounding Alex Ila hasn't healed, not even close. It's been sitting there under the thinnest of bandages, with everyone pretending it's fine while the infection quietly spreads underneath. For most of the past year, Ila has been navigating the treacherous waters of top-tier women's tennis, and if you've been paying attention, really paying attention, you've noticed a pattern. She keeps ending up on the wrong side of what officials politely call interpretation, whether it's line calls, late overrules, or those small, pivotal moments where an umpire's decision can completely flip a match's momentum. Now, to be clear, this isn't a conspiracy theory or an accusation of some organized effort to keep her down. It's a story as old as tennis itself, maybe as old as sports. The rookie gets squeezed, the newcomer gets the tough calls, and the established names receive the benefit of the doubt while the upstart has to prove herself twice over. It's not written anywhere and it's not official policy, but ask anyone who's fought their way up from the qualifiers and they'll tell you the game is different when you're not part of the club yet. What makes Ila different is that she stopped accepting it quietly after her historic run to the Miami Open semifinals last year, a run that included taking down the then world #2 in a match that left the tennis world gasping. She decided she had earned the right to speak her mind, and her recent comments about double standards and officiating, about how some players seem to get every close call while others have to win despite the officials rather than with their help, were seen by insiders as dangerous, even career-limiting. Because there's an unwritten rule in professional tennis. You don't bite the hand that feeds you, you don't criticize the system while you're still fighting to establish yourself in it, and you definitely don't speak out when you're still outside the top 50, still dependent on wild cards for some tournaments and proving she belongs in the conversation. The backlash against Mara Andreeva was swift and predictable, entitled, "Arrogant. Too much too soon." critics crawled out of every corner of tennis media. Former players who never faced social media scrutiny during their own careers suddenly had very strong opinions about young players who don't know their place. Anonymous sources, other players too cowardly to attach their names, whispered that Eva was difficult, developing a diva reputation, and needed to learn humility. The establishment circled the wagons, the pressure mounted, and the message was clear: apologize, walk it back, learn your place, or watch your career opportunities dry up. Her Australian Open campaign ended in the round of 16 with a straight sets loss to Aryna Sabalenka. For any normal 18-year-old, reaching the fourth round of a Grand Slam would be cause for celebration, a solid building block for a successful career. But Eva is not a normal 18-year-old. She won 2 WTA 10,000 titles last year, reached the French Open semifinals, and entered the discussion not as a future champion, but as a present-day contender. Expectations weren't just high, they were astronomical. A fourth-round exit wasn't a success. It was a disappointment, a regression, evidence that something had gone wrong. Yet the loss itself wasn't the real problem. Players lose matches, even the greats lose matches they should win. What concerned observers was how Eva lost. Her inability to find solutions when things went awry, her apparent shrinking under pressure rather than rising to meet it. And one man, one of the sharpest tactical minds in tennis history, has diagnosed exactly what's happening. Brad Gilbert, legendary coach and the author of the book on Winning Ugly, the tactical genius who can watch 30 seconds of a match and tell you precisely what's going wrong. Brad Gilbert, legendary coach and tactical genius, took to social media with a diagnosis that was as catchy as it was devastating. Andrea Eva is suffering from what he calls a fear hand. The term immediately went viral: brutal, clever, and unmistakably accurate. Gilbert explained that her forehand has become spinny, passive, and error-prone under pressure, leaving her unable to play aggressively when it matters most. This isn't just a technical critique, it's a tactical disaster. Every opponent now knows precisely where to attack, turning her signature weapon into a liability. For any professional athlete, this is a nightmare scenario, when your weakness becomes common knowledge. Early in a career, raw talent and the element of surprise allow free wins, but eventually the locker room catches up. Coaches compile video, players compare notes, patterns emerge, and suddenly everyone knows how to exploit her forehand under pressure. Against Aryna Sabalenka, one of the smartest tacticians on tour, Eva looked completely lost. The statistics told the story. She won only 59% of her first serve points, a figure that underscores how her forehand breakdown translated directly into a crushing defeat. The numbers weren't just bad, they were unacceptable for someone with Eva's talent and ranking. She couldn't dictate play, couldn't impose her game, and was reacting instead of creating. She defended when she should have attacked, played not to lose rather than to win, and at the center of it all was the fear hand. But this is more than a technical problem. The fear hand isn't just about stroke mechanics, grip, or swing path, it's psychological. It's the hesitation that creeps in when you realize the entire world is watching, the doubt that whispers as you prepare to hit a forehand down the line. It's the fear that you might miss, that you might disappoint, that you might prove the critics right. Once that fear takes root, once it becomes part of your internal dialogue, it's incredibly difficult to shake. Gilbert's warning was stark and direct. This has to be fixed in the short term, or Eva will struggle to make a deep run in tournaments. Short term, not someday, not eventually, now. Long-term fixes won't cut it. This is short-term, immediate, urgent. Tennis is a sport with a notoriously narrow window of opportunity, and Eva has already achieved more at 18 than most players do in their entire careers. A world number 5 ranking, multiple prestigious titles, and millions in prize money. But here's the brutal truth of professional tennis. None of that matters if you can't evolve. The sport demands constant adaptation. What worked last year is studied and countered this year, and weaknesses that aren't addressed become liabilities. Right now, Eva is at a crossroads. She can accept Gilbert's diagnosis, rebuild her forehand from the ground up, confront the mental blocks that have turned her weapon into a vulnerability, and emerge stronger. Or she can deny the problem, convince herself it's just a rough patch, and watch her ranking slide as opponents exploit the flaw that's now common knowledge. Tennis history is littered with prodigies who failed to make that leap. The difference between a career-long champion and a cautionary tale often comes down to the willingness to admit something is broken and do whatever it takes to fix it. The pressure on Eva is immense. At 18, most teenagers are thinking about school, first relationships, and self-discovery. She's navigating national expectations, multi-million-dollar sponsorship obligations, constant global media scrutiny, and now a very public diagnosis that her signature shot has become a liability. Some players thrive under that pressure, turning adversity into fuel. Others crumble, letting doubt consume them, confidence erode, and results spiral downward. The spiral continues until suddenly you're no longer a top 10 player. Which version of Mara Andreeva will we see in the coming months? Can she fix the fear hand, rebuild her confidence, and prove she is the generational talent everyone believed she was? Or will this be the start of a slow fade, a gradual decline from Prodigy to just another remember when story? The answers will define her career, and based on Brad Gilbert's assessment, we're likely to find out very soon. At the same time, Aryna Sabalenka is positioning herself as the matriarch of the tour, the wise elder who has been through the wars and is now using her platform to protect the next generation. Her defense of Eva wasn't about one incident, it was a statement of leadership, a declaration that she values fairness and legacy over rankings and trophies. She is challenging a system where young players are punished for speaking truth to power, where officials can make questionable calls without accountability, and where the establishment protects itself at the expense of justice. By speaking up, she risked relationships with powerful figures, but she did it anyway because she believes it's the right thing. Meanwhile, Eva is emerging not just as a player, but as a cultural force, a movement, and a symbol of something larger than tennis. She isn't just winning matches or climbing the rankings, though she is doing that. She's forcing stadiums to overflow, making world number ones take public stances, and inspiring millions who had never cared about tennis to suddenly become passionate fans. Together, their stories illustrate a pivotal moment in women's tennis, a clash of legacy, talent, and principle that could reshape the sport for years to come. Alex Ila represents the democratization of tennis, proof that you don't need to come from a traditional powerhouse, have unlimited resources, or fit the mold of what a tennis champion should look like. She comes from the Philippines, a country with virtually no tennis infrastructure, and yet competes with the very best in the world, a story that's powerful, inspiring, and capable of changing sports. Meanwhile, Wang Senu provides the counterweight, the established Chinese tennis machine refusing to yield the spotlight without a fight. China has invested billions in sports development, world-class training facilities, and government-backed talent pipelines. Wang is bringing the edge, the competition, the willingness to create tension and rivalry, exactly what sports need to thrive. She may become the antagonist, drawing criticism even as her fame and influence grow. And at the center of it all is Mara Andreeva, the reminder that talent and potential are fragile. Even the brightest stars can flicker and fade if they don't tend to their craft, making her both a cautionary tale and a grounding reality check amid the triumph stories. What we're witnessing in 2026 is a WTA tour unlike any before. Old hierarchies are being challenged, barriers between players and fans are collapsing, and athletes are using their platforms for more than just endorsements. They're speaking out about injustice and supporting each other in ways once unthinkable. Sabalenka says Ila isn't wrong, a statement about integrity and fairness. Wang stakes her claim, a declaration of competition and pride. Gilbert diagnoses Eva's forehand as a fear hand, a brutal truth about the demands of elite performance. Each statement alone is noteworthy, but together they paint a picture of a sport in flux, wrestling with fairness, representation, and the meaning of championship in the modern era. The only question that matters now is what happens next. Does Sabalenka's intervention create lasting change, or fade into headlines? Does the Ila-Wang rivalry spark a competition that elevates both, or fizzle in social media drama? And will Andrea fix her fear hand, reclaim her trajectory, and prove the generational talent she was always meant to be, or will she become another story of potential unfulfilled?
Many times, nobody in this world, Russian athletes or Belarusian athletes, support the war. Nobody. How can we support the war? Nobody. No.
Alex, after a terrific year last year, how does it feel to be making your main draw debut at Melbourne?
It feels great. I'm super excited.
Kamusta mga kapong Pinoy? Surprise! Excited na akong imbitahin kayong lahat na manood sa mga laban ko sa Mubadala Abu